Welcome back everyone. In this video I'll be showing you how to replace those coil connectors that always break on Ford engines. We will be doing this on my 2013 F150. This is going to be pretty straightforward, so let's jump right in. First, we are going to be working around electrical parts, so go ahead and remove your negative battery terminal. This is secured with an 8mm nut. There is a little bit of corrosion around the terminal that I removed last week. If you want to check out that video, I'll leave it on the end screen. It's very easy to clean and then prevent the corrosion from forming again, so check it out if you are interested. Once the nut is loose, go ahead and pull the terminal off the battery post and make sure you prevent it from touching the post throughout this process. I like to put my socket wrench right here and then wedge it like this. That terminal is going nowhere, but you can use anything you have. Just make sure it does not move. Alright, so I have these coil covers to help prevent my coil pack bolts from rusting out, so we need to remove these first. You will have trouble around the driver's side because the latch for this PCV hose is underneath. So an easy way to get this out is to pull the coil cover towards you to release it from the ball mounts and then rotate it up like this. Once it's pointed straight up, you should be able to reach the latch at the bottom. Pull up on the hose after releasing the latch and then the PCV hose should be free. Here you can see how that latch works. It just slides like this towards the front of the vehicle. Push that out of the way and then you can remove the coil cover. This is why I bought those coil covers. You can see this bolt missing behind this hose, which rusted out and broke in half because there was nothing covering these. So save yourself the hassle and get a set of these covers to prevent your bolts from rusting and breaking. Alright, these connectors break on pretty much every Ford model that uses them. It's another questionable design by Ford, which is becoming quite common for the company nowadays. But luckily there is a way to replace them. I will be honest, it wasn't as easy as some people on YouTube say it is. I will do my best throughout the video to show you the parts that are difficult and how you can make things easier on yourself. So here's the new connector. Don't worry about the wires, you don't need to cut or splice into anything. I will show you how to remove them and you won't even need them, so you can just throw them away. Also, you will notice there's 3 wires coming out of here and only 2 going into the factory connector. Don't worry about that, it means nothing. In order to get the wires out, we need to remove this white panel here. Let's do that now. So grab your new connector and then grab a small flathead screwdriver like this. A pick will work too if you have one. You want to put the end of the tool you are using in this little slot right here and then force the white panel out, just like that. You may need to do it again to fully release it from the connector. Now you should be able to pull it straight out like this. Make sure you save that white piece, as this will be important to keeping the factory wires in place. Next, push one of the wires through the end like this. Then you need to turn it. Doing this should allow the wire to pull straight through. You will probably need to pull pretty hard to get it to slide out, but eventually it will, just like that. Now, that worked on that wire, but watch what happens when I try to remove the other 2. Go ahead and push the wire through, just like the first one, then turn it and try to pull it through. And the back panel just came off. That's okay, that just pushes back on. But it's important to note because it's useful information when installing the new wires. I'll show you why later. Now go ahead and do the same thing to the 3rd and final wire. The blue gasket also came out just like the back panel. Again, this isn't a big deal as it will just push back in. You can remove both pieces from the last wire now. The blue gasket came right off, but the black panel was giving me issues. I think the wire should have been turned the other way, so pay attention to that. Eventually it should pull right off, just like that. Now we can put it back together. You want to start off with the blue piece first and pay attention to its orientation. I actually put this one in upside down. I'm not sure if that matters, to be honest, but you want to put it back together the same way it was originally. So make sure you pay attention to that. And make sure you push it down with either your screwdriver or pick to keep it flush. Now you can grab the back panel and make sure the side with the tab is facing towards the red clip. You can see it will slot right into that groove right there. Go ahead and push it down and then we can move on. Alright, so now we need to remove that old connector. As you can tell, the red tab on this one is broken, which makes it quite difficult to remove without any tools. It's not impossible, but it does irritate the crap out of you. So I'm going to grab my small screwdriver and push the red tab up like this. Now all you need to do is pull the connector off, just like that. This is why you need to disconnect the negative terminal on your battery. You will be using a small screwdriver or a pick around this connector, and if you accidentally hit something you aren't supposed to, it could cause problems. So make sure you do not skip that step. Alright, the trick here is to get this white panel off. It's the same process as before. Just insert your tool right here in the slot and then pry outwards. Once it's out far enough, you can pull it off just like this. Perfect. Alright, now we get to the fun part. This is not going to be easy, especially if it's your first time doing this. There are 2 wires, not 3, that you need to get out of there. It's difficult to explain it fully, but I will say after struggling with this for a while, I have found a semi-easy way of doing this. First, you need to carefully expose the two wires by removing or cutting the factory electrical tape right here. Now, using pliers, you want to grab onto the metal end of the wire and pull it towards you first. Be careful. You do not want to squeeze the end too hard or it can mess up the connection later on. Next, you will want to twist it so it won't latch back into place when you push it backwards. The wire will naturally want to go back to its original orientation, so you need to work it until it's sideways or even upside down. This will allow you to push it through. The pliers were too big for me to push it through, so I grabbed my small flathead and used that instead. At this point, you may be able to pull it through the back. I did not have any luck with this. And do not try to use force by way a set of pliers or something else. This can mess up the wire and then you'll have much bigger issues. What you need to do is remove the back panel, which I will get to in a second. But before I do that, I want to push the other wire through. So this time I was able to use the flathead to turn it, but you may need to use the pliers again. Once they are both pushed through like this, you will notice there's a lot more slack on both wires, which will make this easier. Now, this took me quite a long time trying to get that back panel off, mostly because the panel on the new connection came off so easily, which gave me a false impression on how it works. Luckily for you, I can help take the guesswork out of it since I've already done it. It's simple really. You need to push in the slots on the sides and then it will come off. I was pushing on the front slot for a while, but that did nothing for me. So just remember to tackle both sides and you should be good. Just like that. Go ahead and remove the blue gasket, then do what you can to remove the back panel. If you are having trouble pulling the panel off, you may need to turn both wires back to its original orientation. These are designed to slide straight through the panel and into the connector. You will see that on the new one. Oh, and keep an eye on which wire goes where. It's pretty important. The purple wire needs to go to the left of the connector and the white on the right on my truck. Alright, now we can grab our new connector, and even with the back panel on, you should be able to feed the wires through. The wires will probably fight you a little bit because there isn't a lot of room to maneuver around, but just take your time and make sure they go in straight and in the same orientation as they were in the old connector. Once they both push in and the metal end of the wires are no longer visible from the back, you need to very carefully grab each wire and work them in farther. You want the ends to be flush with the front of the connector, and this will take some time because the wires are going to want to keep bending on you. Just be patient and don't use a lot of force. Once both are flush with the end, you can grab your front white clip, and keep in mind there are 3 slots, but you will only use the first and third. You will not be using the middle slot. Now the trick here is to make sure both wires go in the outside slots and the clip doesn't push the wires backwards, kind of like this. But you also need to make sure the small opening on the clip is facing up, which mine wasn't. So after taking it back out and making sure the clip is in the correct orientation, I will do the same thing and push it straight into the connector. Perfect. That's exactly how it should look. Let's actually take a closer look at those wires, shall we? This is a very important step because if those wires aren't in the correct position, you have an opportunity to fix it right away. You can see both wires through the front white panel, which is exactly what you want. If you can't see one or both, remove the white panel ASAP and fix it. You don't want to jam the connector onto the coil pack and risk damaging it further. So make sure you are 100% positive they are in the correct position. Alright, let's stop messing around and push that connector back on. You want to start with the red tab up, not pressed in. Now you can push the connector onto the coil pack and then press the red tab down. Just like that. We have officially replaced the connector, and it will remain intact until we need to change our spark plugs again, because we'll probably break it again trying to remove it. But we aren't done yet. We need to get that coil cover back on. This is simple. Just feed the cover through like this and make sure the Powered by Ford writing is upright and not upside down. Then give it a push onto the ball mounts. Perfect. Now you just need to push on your PCV hose. Then reconnect your battery. Make sure you give it a little wiggle like this to ensure the nut is tight enough. Then place the red cover back on. Finally, you should start your vehicle to make sure it's running good without a check engine light on. Take note, you should do this for each coil connector you are replacing, because if you replace all 8 and then have a check engine light, you won't have any idea which connector is having issues until you run some diagnostics with an OBD2 scanner. Oh, and look at that, I just lost a mile of range. Motherfucker. That's all there is to it. If you found any part of this video helpful or entertaining, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button as well as the notification bell so you don't miss a video from our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.